As the Oklahoma City Thunder win their first ever NBA championship. SGA cracks into history books even more, being the point scorer king of the NBA, the MVP, the Western Conference Finals MVP, and the Finals MVP. SGA, J-Dub, Chad Holmgren, and crew. Not to mention Paisano Caruso, who started going bananas on a few different occasions out of nowhere. Coach Dags over there, and I do believe they say Nalt at the end of his name. Got a chance to listen to him chit-chat with SVP after the game last night. He is just... he's just right here.
Yep.
He was just right here. You just won a title for the first time in your program's history. You're right here, right here. How about all the guys you still have back? You don't really have a lot of contract disputes. Seems like this team's going to be fully back next year. You kind of got a Florida Panthers thing going right now at this point. Even if you were to add something, just right here. How you doing? Keep it moving. Their fan base, spectacular. All the way in from beginning to end. And whenever you start talking about the history books, there's numerous things that they were able to accomplish this season that'll be talked about forever. And I can't help but tip my cap, proverbial, to the Oklahoma City fan base, their team, their general manager, their front office, their coach, and everybody. That was an awesome series. It was an awesome series to watch. And this Oklahoma City team, we have some stats here. They can go down in conversation as the most dominant team in the history of basketball. Highest scoring margin in a season all time. This includes a playoff run. Obviously, you got the 2016, 2017 Warriors, which everybody talked about, maybe the team that'd be the greatest of all time. 1,184. Then the Bulls, 95, 96 Bulls. Ever heard of them? Pretty good. 70, 71 Bucks. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And then the Thunder, obviously, 1,247 plus. Most 10-point wins in a season, including playoffs.
Wow.
Thunder, 64. That Warriors team that everybody talks about, 60. Most 15-point wins in a season. The Thunder, 48, including playoffs. Those Bucks teams back in 70, 71.
Yeah, so good.
Hey, they used to be able to fill it up.
Yeah.
I've seen some guys, boom, bow, boom, left hook,
Yeah.
like a reacher, one of these.
Yep.
Oscar Robertson, man.
Sky.
How about?
Boom.
A young Lou.
Oh, my God.
Come on.
They were just, and they would say, we're Bucks. And they just keep it moving.
Keep it
right.
a buck.
That was like their thing.
That was the motto?
What a buck.
We're the Bucks.
Yeah.
That's what they would say.
You didn't see the doc?
No, I didn't. I got to
And
go back.
then, we're Bucks on three. 1, 2, 3. We're the Bucks. They would do it too. People in 1970 were like, whoa, they got a fucking,
Yeah.
they got a thing.
They were saying more than that.
Yeah, well.
Not a laughing matter.
Yeah, no,
Excuse me.
30-point wins in a season. Lakers, 86, 87 Lakers.
Showtime, baby.
I've seen a docu-series, mock-series
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
What a run.
Yeah.
They had 11 30-point wins in a season before. That was incredible. Celtics, wow, they were really good. Remember how good they were?
Yeah, most 50-point wins in the season.
Well, we don't have that on here because obviously this is a stat sheet be skewed for Oklahoma City to be better than everybody.
Yeah, I was just,
Yeah, but absence of information is a choice, and some people
Sure.
do it and say we're still telling the truth.
Which is still the truth.
This is still the truth. Thunder, 12 of them. Congratulations.
Truly dominant.
That is domination. Throughout the regular season, only 14 losses. Obviously, the plus scoring margin would tell you they're not losing a lot of games on your plus 1,247 in a sport that involves keeping score. Go ahead, Tone.
No, and they were very, very good to the gamblers all season long. They were favored in 78 out of 82 games in the regular season, plus every single playoff game, and they covered at 65%, 66, 35, and 4 was their record. So when you have all those big wins, you are going to cover some really, really big spreads.
What does the title mean to this city, to this fan base, to this state? It feels like they're very similar to us, where they were all in, and it was fun to watch that fan base go crazy. But, like, for real, what does this mean for the city in your eyes?
Oh, it means everything. But let me say this. Major props to the Indiana Pacers, Rick Carlisle, Tyrese Halliburton, that organization, and that fan base. Game 6, my God, that was crazy. That was crazy, and I got to give a lot of love. It's no loser in this run. Like, the Indiana Pacers are not losers. They had still one of the best runs in NBA history. Although they didn't complete the mission, for them to be the underdogs in every series of this playoff run and what they did, knocking off top dogs and doing it in great fashion by committee and doing it the right way. not being in the luxury tax, not cheating the system, not trying to go out there and go big fish hunting or big game hunting. No, doing it the right way and creating players. Rick Carlisle maxed out guys. That's what great coaches do. No one thought Aaron Neesmith would be the player that he is. I had to give him much love. Right, Nimhart shined on the big stage. So much credit to the Pacers. You know, they had me more nervous than a criminal in church. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, God bless.
So, but let me say this about the Oklahoma City Thunder, man. You know, I spent 4.5 years here. Great fans, great people, first-class organization. They stayed down, Pat. They stayed down. Meaning, when Kevin Durant left and went to Golden State, right? And then all of a sudden Russell Westbrook took over the team and Sam tried to put pieces around Russ to help him try to go and compete for a title, whether that was Victor Oladipo, you know, drafting Sabonis or you know, trading for Paul George. And all of a sudden Paul George left. He wanted to go to the Clippers, so Sam was forced to trade Russell Westbrook and rebuild. No excuses. They didn't feel sorry for themselves, right? You look at Coach Dahn, G League coach, you know, bred in the system, went through the trying times, you know, accepted, went through the failures and just grinded, chipped away, drafted well, right? End up getting SGA in the trade back, getting Chet Holmgren. Sam Presti should get a lifetime extension solely off of drafting Jalen Williams at number 12 lottery pick. We got to remember Jalen Williams was a guy that had to go to the draft combine and scrimmage just to prove that he was a first round pick. Sam Presti picked him in the lottery. So this championship means everything for this organization and this fan base. When you talk about being loyal, you talk about staying down. This is the true definition of a loyal fan base, and they deserve every bit of this.
Yeah, it was fun to watch them show up in the fan base's eyes. Now let's talk about Sam and Coach Daggs. They have everybody on a contract, I believe, next year as well. And they were under the luxury tax as well. So whenever you talk about people building it the right way and having to build from the ground up and develop your own superstars, which obviously they've been able to do, I think it's locked in for a bit. And Caruso obviously plays a vital role. What a trade. What a guy. What a bring in from Chicago, I believe, at the time. And then he goes to Oklahoma City and he becomes OG. They're calling him Unk down there with his bald ass. I mean, it is. It's a beautiful culture that they have, and they seemingly have everybody coming back. Whenever you're this young of a team and you win this early, obviously the dynasty conversations are getting mentioned now. The dynasty. How does that become a thing? What happens in the NBA to teams after they have some success? Or is there normally a little bit of a run for teams that are able to stick together?
Well, it's gonna be hard, and let me explain why. Right, you have your core. You know that you have SGA, who just solidified himself as a bona fide superstar by completing the mission last night. You have J-Dub and Chet Holmgren. You start with those three. Now, what end up happening, with a young team like this, right? They win and have success early, and now, rightfully so, a lot of those guys like Aaron Wiggins, like Jalen Williams that come in off the bench, like Cason Wallace, those guys are going to want a bigger role. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Presti start making moves, here in the near future. And it's not because he don't want those guys, it's because he wants to do right by those guys, right? Like he wants those guys to go out and be able to earn their money, right? And be able to have a starting role on other teams. He don't want to do it, but it's the right thing to do. Because remember, this is a job, and guys do need to get paid. You want to get to the bag. And so he has 1 million draft picks, so we expect him to draft well. But those, I would think Sam would make moves, and not because he don't want those players back is because he want to do right by those players and send them to the right situation where they can have a bigger role to make sure they set up and secure their bag for the future.
Yeah, for us in the NFL, anytime somebody got cut by the Patriots, they never cleared waivers because everybody was like, if they're good enough for the Patriots, they're good enough for us. We will certainly think that's the case. We assume that begins for the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is what it sounds like you were describing. Even the guys on the bench are going to be have a big market because people want championship caliber in their program. Speaking of championship caliber, this guy will never be questioned on whether or not he can win the big one. D. Butch has a question for you.
Yeah, SGA just getting over the hump, jumping on a very, very short list, getting the scorer title, MVP, and winning the trophy. So does this put him in rare air? Does this make him the face of the NBA now going forward and the best player in the NBA? I know that's been Joker, that's been Greek Freak. I know Ant Edwards, we wanted to make him the face. What's your thoughts now with SGA being in that position?
He is the best player in the league. He is the best player in the league. And history tells us when we look down, the past 5 years, right? We look at when Giannis won it. We were waiting on that moment for him to win the NBA championship and Finals MVP. We anointed him as the best player in the league. When Jokic won it and completed the mission, we anointed him as the best player in the league. Coming into this series, I already said that SGA was the best perimeter player in basketball, but for the run that he had, just this season, the scoring title, the MVP, sitting at different tables. He joined Michael Jeffrey Jordan this past season as far as having 3 consecutive seasons of averaging 30 while shooting over 50% from the field. He's 6'6". He don't rely on his athleticism. He brought the mid-range back to the NBA and proved that you could win championships by not just shooting up a bunch of three-point shots. So when you talk about the face of the league or you talk about the best player in the league, what else do he has to do? He has taken over the throne. In my opinion.
He never missed
not
either.
Going anywhere.
Perk, it was like whenever we were playing the Knicks and I was at the games, when Jalen Brunson would have any space, he was making it. It just felt like percentage. I don't know where his missed percentages are coming from because every time I see this guy shoot the ball, it's going in. That's just what it felt like. For SGA, it's that every single time he had the ball in his hands. It was like, this guy's going to get a bucket. It was outrageous. Live in person, it's like, SGA hasn't been that big of a factor. Then you look up, 18 points already, and it's in the second quarter. It's like, this guy's effortlessly doing all these things. Now, people get mad about his push-off. I think that is something that NBA fans are certainly getting loud about. And on the defensive side, maybe they're doing some hacking themselves. There's always going to be that angle, especially in basketball. But the judgment of SGA, do you think it's warranted or not? Do you think he's just pure bucket getter, could get it in any era if he had to?
Well, I think he's just a pure bucket getter. The fact that, look, you have guys that retire, Pat, that centers that don't shoot over 50% from the field for their career, and they're right around the damn basket. He's doing this on tough contested twos and driving to the paint, finishing in traffic over towers. Here's what I will say when it comes down to damn, look at that. Look at that. Look at that.